Welcome back to another episode of Why It Works on What It Is. Today we're going to be discussing a style of content that's rather difficult to sum up with one name, but I'm certain most watching will be quite familiar with. It's made waves over the past year and a half, giving a variety of YouTube channels millions and millions of views, even helping establish a few channels focused on producing these videos. That's right, the content we will be analyzing today is blank but blank. Now, if that didn't make sense, which is likely the case, a few examples of this style of content are the B-movie trailer, but every time they say B, the content aware scale gets stronger, or Gucci Gang, but every time Lil Pump says Gucci Gang, it doubles. Ideally, these videos give you an idea of the type of content we're referring to, also maybe reminding you of something you've seen in the past year or so. The earliest popular example of this edit that I've found is the video The B-Movie But It Keeps Getting Faster, published on October 22nd, 2016. I'm not 100% certain that this is the first instance of this style, but it's definitely one of the earliest, and likely served to inspire the huge wave of blank but blank content created in the past year and a half. Pause. Alright, so after a bit more research, we found out that the blank but blank format is actually an evolution from a style of edit called a word replacement remix, which has origins as early as 2006 or 2007. Replacement remixes focus on inserting a different clip anytime a word is repeated in the source video, and these were definitely the inspiration and harbinger of the blank but blank edit. The main thing that distinguishes these two styles is that the blank but blank edit is a much broader term which encompasses many of the complex developments made on replacement remixes within the past 2 years. We'll link some videos and websites talking about this history below and jump back into the deconstruction now. In essence, the aim of today's episode will be twofold. First, to define and sort where this style of edit sits in relation to other types of internet content, and second, to explain why it works. To start the defining of this style of content, I'm gonna need to contextualize it within its larger subcategory, which I'm gonna call long-form memes. Long-form memes is a bit of a working title for a large swath of internet content which encompasses things such as YouTube poop, meme compilations, montage parody edits, and much more. This categorical jurisdiction is predicated on the inclusion and combination of various internet memes and cultural artifacts in an extended video format. And in English, basically this is a category of content for edited videos containing memes and internet culture references. The blank but blank edit can be thought of as a particular genus or subsection of this greater category, and will serve as the focus of today's episode because it's a simple example of a long-form meme, making it an ideal starting place for our future Why It Works episodes on this category. Moving on, it's important to note that this style of content does not have a sole creator, so instead of focusing on a specific channel, we'll be deconstructing the blank but blank format as a whole. However, in case you're interested in seeing some content from the giants of this field, Sir Froge, Pacifist Duck, Dog Beef, and Much Stank are all great examples of channels that have produced this style of content, as well as a number of other long-form memes. One final note to mention is that our typical style of analysis will be disrupted. Since there's no personality associated with the blank but blank format, we'll only be breaking this deconstruction into the audio and visual design and the effectiveness of the concept, all in an effort to explain why blank but blank works. Starting off with the audio and visual design, I'm going to quickly explain the majority of what goes into creating this kind of content. To make one of these videos, you start off by taking a popular media clip and coming up with a general premise. As previously mentioned, I believe the first examples of this style of content occurred with the B-movie. So if I were to hypothetically create a blank but blank using the B-movie, I would select it as my source media clip and then aim to add an amusing premise. One way to go about doing this would be selecting an aspect of it that sticks out or occurs frequently. For this example, we'll use every time the word B is said. I would then build on the premise by adding a twist of some kind, say slowing the clip down, and finally end up creating the B-movie but every time they say B, it slows down. Following this blueprint stage, I would go through the clip finding every instance where they say B and edit it to fit the premise. In short, the most basic description of the audio and visual design is simply finding a premise for a popular media clip, then going through and editing it, ultimately posting it and hoping it doesn't get taken down by whoever owns the clip. A quick side note to add in is that the B-movie hypothetical we just went through is an example of a classic blank but blank edit, which usually focuses on the premise being employed every time something in the clip occurs. This is the original style of the blank but blank format, something still produced today, But over the past year and a half, this style has evolved, blossoming into a number of newer approaches which will make an appearance later in the video. All in all, there's not a lot to the audio and visual design of these edits, but that isn't a bad thing. Since the barrier for entry is really just having basic editing software and a good idea, there's a sort of open market for the blank but blank format which incentivizes ingenuity from the creators. Now, moving on to the effectiveness of the concept section, I'm going to give some different notes on how the ideas behind this style of edit have aided in its popularity. To start this portion of the deconstruction, I'm going to give a take on the psychology of why people decide to sit through these videos, essentially giving a play-by-play of watching a blank but blank edit. So, the first part of this process is simply being drawn in by recognizing the popular media clip used by the edit. This is definitely some form of the audience overlap effect, as audiences familiar with the original clips will be more likely to click on the blank but blank edit using them. The other part of being drawn in is finding an initial sense of novelty with the premise of the video. These edits are enticing and easy to watch because they're usually just an entire video dedicated towards one simple but amusing premise. With these two factors working in tandem, the blank but blank videos are able to draw in many viewers, which explains the thousands and thousands of views these videos typically get, despite them all being iterations of the same general style of edit. The next important part of this psychology requires some pretext. The typical YouTube video has a fairly low watch percentage, an estimated 30 to 35%. What sticks out about this edit, with the exception of the abnormally long versions, is that it seems to have a slightly larger average watch time. Using the TubeBuddy extension, you can see what this watch percentage is on your own videos, but unfortunately because of recent changes implemented by YouTube, you can't see this on other people's videos. But, being the tech-savvy Whatitis YouTube geniuses we are, we managed to get in contact with the long-form meme producer Pacifist, and he was gracious enough to send us some data on his blank but blank videos. From these few examples, it seems that this style of edit typically pulls in a 50 to 60% watch percentage, at least on his videos. Now, before you jump in with accusations of this being anecdotal evidence, and there being plenty of other factors that play into this longer watch percentage, I'm gonna say that I understand this data doesn't directly prove anything. But for the sake of some of these points, let's operate under the assumption that the blank but blank videos typically receive a slightly longer watch percentage. So why is this? Well, jumping back to the psychology of watching a blank but blank edit, after being drawn in by the audience overlap effect and novel premise, there would have to be some incentive to stay if there's supposedly a slight increase in the percentage watched. I believe this is where the effectiveness of this concept really shines. The way it does this is by giving the viewer a reason to be engaged with the video. If you're, say, watching the B movie speed up every time the word B is said, the joke gets pretty old quickly. However, as the video progresses and you spend more time watching it, a level of investment develops and an overall sense of needing to watch the video to its end begins to take hold. I can't say this definitely occurs with every person who watches a blank but blank video, but at least in my own experience, I can report that there's a drive to watch the video through once I've invested a bit of time to see how crazy it gets. To try to prove this point, I challenge you to watch one of these videos, and tell me once you've started you aren't at least a little bit interested in seeing what the end is like. Some other aspects that could explain the format's increased engagement are that the videos are usually short and have concise, accurate titles. It's already well known that making shorter videos will help increase watch percentage, but the other part of this is that the titles function as a sort of anti-clickbait. Since the entire premise is laid out clearly in the title, viewers pretty much know exactly what they're getting into when they click on it. This alone would reduce the number of people who typically leave a video because of a misleading title or thumbnail, resultingly upping the watch percentage. The sense of investment and overall audience engagement the blank but blank format fosters are huge reasons for its success as a long-form meme. But they don't always occur, as some blank but blank videos are just too predictable, which seems to be something that's become increasingly frequent as the edit's risen in popularity. This is where some of the innovations on the blank but blank format come in. Now, I know you guys are already incredibly impressed that we had Pacifist Duck, a fairly established meme creator's help on this video. Well, get ready to have your minds blown, as we also received help from the current viceroy of Memebird, Sir Froge, who also sent us data on his blank but blank videos, where he actually averages close closer to 70% watch. Again, this is not indicative of the whole, but I hypothesize that this higher than average watch percentage is because of his use of the blank but blank format, and also because Sir Froge is a great example of a creator who's helped innovate this style of edit. Instead of employing edits every time something in the base video occurs, Sir Froge will take a base video and make it actually good, essentially cutting clips from the source and splicing them together to create awkward, confrontational, and really funny parodies of whatever the content initially was. His videos are certainly pulling from the original blank but blank format by taking base content and adding a premise, but also bleeding into the realm of other long-form memes with its style of splicing and editing clips. Truly delving to the core of Sir Froge's content and other content like it would be a topic for another video, but I bring it up to emphasize the influence and wide range of success the blank but blank edit has been seeing, and also to again remind you of the versatility of this format. Sir Froge is able to make videos on internet content ranging from Jordan Peterson interviews to the KSI Logan Paul press conference, all because his style of blank but blank edit doesn't rely on a word, phrase, or event repeating in the base video. The diversity of his content shows an even higher level of creativity that the blank but blank format can offer, and again represents the high level of audience engagement the edit fosters. Still, the videos made by Sir Froge and Pacifist only serve as a few pieces to the puzzle that is the blank but blank edit, but hopefully they give an idea of the success this concept has seen, while also shining a light on the massive category of innovative content we're calling long-form memes. At the end of the day, it's likely some combination of the audience overlap effect, novel premises, engaging titles and concepts, and easy-to-generate design that explain why blank but blank works. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Why It Works on What It Is. Leave a comment if you thought we left anything out, or if you have a suggestion for a series or type of content you want us to analyze in the future. On a side note, today's episode included a lot of terms and ideas we're still working on strengthening, so any feedback is helpful. If you like, subscribe, and follow our Instagram and Twitter, we'll make a blank but blank edit using this episode.